Woo! I see the live button.
I know. As soon as I can see that we're live on YouTube, it takes a minute, then I will play this little intro. Oh, why it takes so long? Come on now.
Can I talk yet? Or can we just chit chat?
Yeah. Okay, here we are. Oh, why it takes so long? Okay. All right. now let's go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FCBDU podcast, your backstage pass to the magical world of Fat Chance belly dance style.
Can I talk yet?
I'm your host, Deanna, and I invite you to join me along with a variety of special guests and experts as we explore the beauty, intricacies, and lifestyle topics of this captivating dance style. Grab a comfortable seat, tune in, and let's embark on a journey through the rhythms, movements, and history that make Fat Chance belly dance style an enchanting experience like no other.
It worked! Woo! I love it! Oh, technology! Welcome, everyone, to our latest podcast episode. My name's Deanna. I'm your host, and today I am joined by the absolutely most fabulous team. I'm so excited to have you both on here today. We have Liz Malcolm, and we have, of course, Carolina Enriquio. Yay! Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Yay!
Hey, everybody.
So thrilled about today's topic. So I just want to say hello and how excited I am. But before we go into this, I want to make sure that people know who you both are. Can't imagine that they don't. But so let's start with Liz. Liz, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go into why you're here in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Liz. I'm a belly dancer and a graphic designer. And I've been dancing belly dance since 1995, probably 1996. And then I saw Carolina in the live DVD, or it was VHS then, somewhere around 97. And I had been doing different styles. And once I saw what she was doing, I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. And here I am today. And I was just so fortunate to live in the same town as Mega Gavin. So I started dancing with Mega Gavin in 1999, and then again in 2004. And then when she came back to Birmingham in 2004, I was like, okay, this is it. This is all I'm doing. I am all in. I am all in 100%. So, and I've just loved dancing and teaching. I already was teaching, so it was a real easy step for her to feel comfortable with me starting to teach her classes when she was out of town, as she got so busy traveling the world, teaching this style with Carolina. So I think this is like where we are right now is like the perfect marriage of dance and design.
For me. Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know our other guest, can't imagine, but maybe if you're newer to this style, Carolina, can you introduce us to yourself a little? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I can. Thank you, Deanna, and thank you, Liz. My name is Carolina Enriquio. I am the director of Fat Chance Belly Dance. I am the originator of FCBD style. I am blessed and lucky to be here because this dance form has taken over the world, this morning as I was getting ready, I was like, this dance form is worldwide. It just goes out and grows. So I started dancing in 1974, or learning dance in 1974. I ended up opening my own company in 1987. And here we are today in 2024. It's still going strong. So it's a beautiful dance form. And I've been so lucky to meet people like Liz and Deanna. I'm telling you, for a shy little fat kid from Daly City, I'm blessed. I am blessed. Like, I can't believe how many people I've met through this dance form and formed such strong friendships with. It's incredible. So that's me. That's what I do. I'm here.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah, and I am pointing to Liz and Deanna right now on my screen, with the help of the really organized and professional services that these two dancers have provided. The dance has grown and grown and grown. So thank you guys for doing everything that you do.
Yeah, thank you so much, both of you. I love how Liz said it's the marriage of her two worlds, design and dance, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And then FCBDU, I feel like is a collaboration of my two worlds, which is business and dance. So yeah, we just kind of add into what you've created and just help it go throughout the world by bringing in the stuff that we're familiar with, that we've learned and loved over the years. So thank you both so much. I consider you both two of my best friends in the whole wide world. Liz was talking about having started dancing with Mega in 99 and then again in 2004. And I started dancing with Mega and Liz in April of 2004. April of 2004. So next month is my 20-year anniversary.
Oh
so
my
that's how long we've been dancing together. We've been friends. And then of course I met Carolina not long after that. So yeah. So anyway, just working with you both over the years has been an absolute joy. And I'm excited to continue on as we go. But today's topic is all about the flowchart. Woohoo! So before we get into it, I wanted to kind of share what the flowchart even is, right? For people that don't really know. And this morning I woke up after a fresh night of sleep, which doesn't normally happen. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have the original flowchart in poster form.
Look at that. Yeah.
Yes. So this is the original. For those of you that are joining us on Spotify, I encourage you to also tune into the YouTube version of this because we're going to have a little bit of show and tell. But the original flowchart that was done in 2012. So it's 12 years ago. Yeah. And this was a collaboration between Liz and
Susan Warner.
Which was, so I'm, really super excited with Susan Warner and Liz Malcolm had started this. And now it's in its third rendition, although I have 4 versions because Liz, do you remember you made this ATS Matrix one for a class
that you workshop?
Yeah. So I was going through all my flowcharts and I was like, I have 4 different ones. So I guess I'm a collector, at this point. But the latest and greatest flowchart is out and it is available. And of course, we'll post links to where everybody can get their hands on it. But I wanted to just kind of start with a little paragraph about why we're here, right? The FCBD style vocabulary is a global dance language that allows dancers from all parts of the world to dance, connect, and flow together. The FCBD style flowchart is an excellent tool to help ensure we're all speaking the same language and understand the true essence and established movements of Fat Chance belly dance style. Yeah. So I thought today, of course, today we're going to go through kind of why do we have an updated version? And what different adjustments and things were kind of moved visually. And then we'll get into some more ways that people can continue to learn. So Liz, I know you have a lot to cover today. I know you'll have a lot of things to cover. So why don't you go ahead and maybe start us out with, why you even were inspired to create the flowchart in the first place?
Okay, well, as a designer, as an artist, your job is to take chaos and somehow make some kind of order, right? And if it's a tool that's actually helpful for someone, that's an additional benefit. So when Susan Warner first showed me this idea she had, it was visual chaos. I'm sorry, Susan, but it was. She had like all these little lines and circles and squares, and it was just like, blah! It was like, I felt like I had to show an easier way to read, an easier way to see this, and to try to come up with how to visually make sections for each family so you could easily see the families and their variations. And the whole point of this is to be a helpful tool for dancers to identify the step families, to identify to the correct names and the variations and the correct variation names, and to know what is an official step and what isn't, because if it's not on here, then it's not an official FCBD step. Secondly, to come up with some order for how to read this. So in the United States, we read left to right and top to bottom. So that's the concept that I used here to put the step name at the top and list the variations underneath, and then list the additional variations of each one of those variations to the right. So then that was my original idea, and to make it easy to read. So you could just pick it up, go, hey, wait a minute, what family is this in? Or what is this a real variation? And you could just pick it up, look at it quickly and go, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. So, and maybe for me being a visual person, maybe just the fact of seeing these colors and the boxes ordered in a certain way helps you to memorize, because I'm a visual learner. So I know there's a lot of different styles of learning out there, but if I can look at something and make some visual order out of it and put colors in it, and make it pretty, that just helps it stick into my brain better. Make it pretty. There's a lot more than just making it pretty, but
right. No, I totally get it.
It's
so
trivial just to say that, but
I think it's really important. Go ahead, Carolina.
No, I don't think it's trivial at all. The colors. I'm the same as you. Like, I have my email inbox is in color blocks so that I know what I'm looking at. Otherwise, it's like it's just a bunch of swirling black and white. So I love that this is in color blocks, because it helps me like zone in on one thing and another thing without getting distracted by the other thing. So I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. And so as a data nerd, my job was to take all of this data that nobody really wants to look at, right? Let's just be honest. All of this data and make it visually interesting so that managers would pay attention to like where their numbers were and what their ROI, like all the things that weren't interesting. So to me, this chart is like, yes, this takes all of my notes and all of my like, okay, this, and then I'm going to do this. And then it takes all of that and it puts it into this beautiful visualization. And I have so many different flowcharts, not just the variations, but like one in this teaching notebook. And then I have another one in this travel teaching notebook. That way I never am without this flowchart. It's a great visual when people ask questions, I can explain it, but if they can see it, then it really helps them as well. So it's brilliant. I absolutely love it.
Thank you. Also, and it continues to help me, even as an advanced instructor. I am always picking it up and going, well, wait a minute, let me just double check. You know what I mean? Or what goes with what? Or what if I put these two families together and look at the steps and, and think about a really creative drill or something. Sorry, Carolina, go ahead.
Oh, no. I love the fact that it takes a really complicated concept. This dance form it's vast. It's for the people who have never done it. They're like, but it's just, you just learn the dance. And it's like, well, you learn the dance, but then depending on the music that you're dancing to, the people that you're dancing with, the environment that you're dancing in, it's infinite. It just
Mhm.
keeps making connections. And once you grasp that, you're like, oh my God, there's so much going on. But this flowchart makes it really simple. Okay, it is infinite and it is vast, but you can look at this and you can go, oh, calm down. It's just body wave and a
Yeah.
wrist. You know, you don't have to be reviewing all the possibilities. When you have a question, you can find the answer to your question, boom, and then you can proceed to enjoy the dance instead of be overwhelmed. So,
Yes.
Yeah, I love
Oh, I
that.
love that, Carolina, how you're saying instead of being overwhelmed, you can just like relax, just take a quick look and relax and just feel at ease instead of being overwhelmed. I think that's a really beautiful way to look at it. So
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
helps
Yeah.
us focus on the dance instead of focus on the fact that we feel overwhelmed by something.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
Liz and I
great.
were talking on we wish we would have recorded it. We had a really great Zoom meeting, I don't know, couple months ago. We were geeking out on the flowchart basically, and how things have like evolved on the flowchart, or why things were updating on the flowchart. And going back, so here we are, we were saying we've been dancing this styles for 20 years now. And I remember when it started going really global, and there were so many questions about what was a movement and what was a variation. And there were like, you remember the tribe.net days where they were like, this is ATS, no, this is ATS, like all of those things. And
Mhm.
when we bring in tools like this, it
Mhm.
takes all of that out, and now we can dance. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
this is fat chance style. This is ATS, So whenever you want to go back to, well, is that really a fat chance step? There isn't all of this asking 500 people. It's like, just go to this resource and here it
Right.
Yeah.
is. And it's perfect. It's perfect.
Right.
So can we talk a little bit about what did you update? Like, what is this variation? How is it different?
Good segue. Okay, well, the first point that I want to talk about is the alternative names. So in 2020, this official list of alternative names was developed. Thank you, Carolina. And so the goal is to incorporate these names into the previous flowchart, and also have the previous names or the first names in parentheses. So we have them both here. So you have the choice of using which name that speaks to you, that works best for you. So that's the biggest thing right there. Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's really important to point out that people can use whichever term they want to use. So I know a lot of people are still using the traditional names. I
Mhm.
interchange them, especially when we're traveling or we're teaching, general skills. And I love that the flow chart and it's consistent, right? I guess the traditional names or original names are in parentheses,
Mhm.
just like they are here on FCBDU. All of
Mhm.
our classes have the new names or the modern name with the parentheses and the traditional name, so that you can search for either and they will always show up. And it just helps reiterate and keep us all on the same page that they're both there.
Yeah. Everyone's empowered to use the language that works best for their community. So,
Yeah.
and I think, Deanna, you've got some blogs and articles that have more information about that. If anybody wants to check it out, you can probably put some links here.
Absolutely. I'll put the links in the show notes in our resources section on FCBDU. We have a few blogs actually about, why the names changed or what they changed to. And so you can always go back and check out all of those, even videos directly from Carolina explaining it all. So
Yeah.
we'll link to those so that everybody can kind of dive into that a little bit more.
So the second reason is for us to have consistency across all the FCBD platforms or areas for general skills, teacher training, FCBDU, FCBD, the flowchart, for it all to have exactly the same names. So that it took me a lot of time, and I had help from Kelly Beeston and Deanna and Carolina and others that were in our FCC group that were all checking and making sure that we were being consistent across all. So you might see, like, if it said duet passing before, now it says passing and duet is in parentheses. That's because duet was really not part of the name of the step. The variation was passing, and it, we just put duet in parentheses afterwards, just for clarification.
So for
So
example, can we give an
yeah.
example of that, Liz? So like I'm looking at the flowchart, wrap around turn, and then there's a passing in parentheses, it's a duet. So there's a wrap around turn with a passing variation that's done in a duet.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So like before, and here's another example, like before we had a Turkish shimmy duet crossover was a variation on the previous flowchart, and now it just says crossover with a hyphenation and duet in parentheses, because really crossover is that variation name.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
I love consistency. Can I just say, like, this organization just makes me so happy.
Okay. Just a bunch of organization nerds. I love it.
I know.
When I was creating the dance, first I just started teaching some dance classes because someone asked me, and I was like, sure, why not? Let's do this thing. And something clicked in my head at a certain point where it's like literally, I know I've told this story before, but it's totally true. It's like the ATS God came down and said, I literally feel like she stopped me in the street and she was like, you. And I was like, me? And she was like, you will bring my dance out into the world. And I'm like, oh, no. I'm just teaching. She's like, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. So get it together and proceed. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Okay. Like, that's what it felt like, and all of a sudden, like, everything made sense, the dance angle, the foot positions, the duets, trios, quartets. Why can we not have 5? Because there's too many. Take it away. It was just like everything was like as organized as this flowchart is. It happened in my head that way. Like this goes to this. It does not go to this, but it does go to this, and this connects to this, but not to this. And it was just this. I feel like it was like divine intervention. I know that sounds woo-woo, but that's what happened, So I literally, at that point in time, computers, there were no laptops yet. Apple computer was this little thing with a screen that was this big, and it was inside it looked sort of like a cinder block turned on its long side, right? So there was that, and you had a keyboard that connected to it, and then a printer that connected to that. And literally every night I would work at the studio during the day, typing, thinking, typing, thinking, typing, thinking. And at night I would put it all into a milk crate and put it in my car and take it home and put it up in the kitchen and keep like, you know what I mean? And then in the morning I would pack it all back in the milk crate, put it in the car, and for like back and forth. And like, I couldn't bear to stop. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was on fire. And like, now we have these laptops and these iPads and these phones that just go, dun, and you just walk away with it. But back then it was like a milk crate full of equipment. But do you know what I mean? But I had to keep it with me. I had to keep going. And the organization that's on the flowchart was the organization that was in my head. So I just think it's a brilliant, and again, you don't need a milk crate to carry this around in your bag. So yeah.
I love that story. It's like you were in, when any artist is in flow, you're so engaged in what you're doing. So it's like you were in the flow of creating this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to add to that story, and then I'll stop talking so you guys can discuss what's relevant to this conversation. But I remember talking to a boyfriend at the time, and I was like, there's something that's trying to come out of my head. Like there's something happening, and I don't know what it is, but I know it's really important, And it was like feeling like, this anticipatory feeling of it's right there, but I can't touch it. It's right there, but I can't touch it. And then all of a sudden, it happened. So,
That's so
right?
cool.
Yeah, I
What?
love it.
So,
Thanks for
oh
sharing
my
that.
God.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
And I
Right.
feel like as the dancers of this under you, I can almost feel that. I can touch that sometimes when I'm dancing with other people. And I just love how I feel that I don't know, it's like a energetic synchronicity or something just coming through.
Yeah, it's magical. It's magical.
Yeah,
Like it's a vapor in the air. And
yeah.
sometimes, it coalesces into something that you can see and feel, and sometimes it just disperses. Sorry,
Yeah.
I
No,
guess sideways on that.
I can touch, I can almost see and touch what you're talking about, and I love it. It feels so good. It's so exciting.
And I think that's a really great kind of point too, where, some people think like organizing an art form takes away from the art form. And you're like, no, no, no. Every art form is organized, right?
Hmm.
Every art form is organized. You got to have your tools in order to, Liz, I know you're a graphic designer. You're like, I got to have my
Hmm.
tools. Your husband's an
Hmm.
artist too, as he painted that beautiful photo of you,
Yeah,
that painting of you. Like he has
yeah.
his tools. He knows which brushes he needs to use for which things. I was looking up different dance codifications and which they all do it. You know what I mean? So it's like it's especially if you're trying to do something in a collaborative space
Uh-huh.
to create the magic, you have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so the flowchart allows that magic to come through because we don't have to question. It's just there for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so coming back over to some of the big updates is figure eight moved over to the top left quadrant, and body wave gave way to make room for it, and it moved over to the top right quadrant. And let me just say that one side of this is all slow steps and step families, and I have put that above every single one of the section heads on that side just to clarify that is all slow vocabulary. So, Carolina, do you want to talk a little bit about why? Because this is something that came out of one of my talks with you when we were really looking at the flow chart before I made the updates, that you felt like this step was needed to move on the flow chart. And why was that? I know, but I'm just asking.
Wait, which step needed to move?
Figure eight, Taksim.
It
We,
physically moved to the front.
It
That's what we're
physically moved from the top right to the top left. So if we look at the steps that are at the top and the left, that is kind of the foundational steps. You felt like it was a foundational step and it needed to be at the top left area
okay,
of the,
so if I'm understanding correctly,
yeah.
on the previous flow chart, the sock seam was not in the top left corner; it was somewhere
In
else.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
it was over on the right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I feel like the figure eight tuck seam is the fundamental step. That's it. Like it's like the mother step. I
Mhm.
feel like the tuck seam is the mother step of slow, and the shimmy is the mother step of fast. Um, it just landed in my head that way, and I wanted to represent on the chart the um, significance of my feeling about that. So we moved
Yeah.
it. First thing that you see is the figure 8 tuck seam. And as anybody who's studied this dance form knows, the figure 8 tuck seam and the shimmy are two of the most difficult steps to learn. But
Yes.
I'm sorry, but that's the way it goes. But to me, because they're difficult, it means that you spend a lot of time with those steps, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And the tuck seam is, every time I do it, I have to really be sure I'm doing it and
Mm-hmm.
not just, it's not just swaying back and forth. There's really like a mechanical thing that's happening in your body that's making this tuck seam into this like perfection. And sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't get it. So I don't know. It felt like the foundational step. Yeah, the queen of the step.
Well, it makes sense because they're both just like walking, shimmy and figure 8. And there's the symbolism of you have to walk into the room first to prepare yourself for dance. I don't know. That's just what I
That's
thought about it.
beautiful.
Is
Yeah.
it?
You have to
You
walk
have to,
before you can run.
yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. I love it. So
I like
also, sorry, go ahead, Deanna.
I was just going to say, I like the contrast between the two because for me, I feel like the figure 8, both of them are so essential to the dance. And the figure 8 teaches you how to find the control and the contraction. And the
Mm-hmm.
shimmy teaches you how to let go, right? So you've got the balance of like having control, but
Mm-hmm.
also being able to let go, which all of our movements have if you really dig into it. But it's just like those two, it's like the yin and the yang, So
Uh-huh. I love it. And
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I feel like we all want to run. We're born just wanting to run, and we have to develop, to grow up and become an adult and learn control. So we all want to just like go fast and run in there, and that's kind of the let go of the fast shimmy step. But then we have to develop the skills to slow it down and really look at what we're doing. And that is our figure 8.
yeah, yeah.
I love
Such a metaphor
symbolism.
for life, right? I know, right? Sometimes the hardest thing is to slow down.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Yeah.
So the
I
top,
know.
so the
So,
figure 8 tuck seam was moved to the top left.
yeah. And the shimmy was moved to the top left. And the pivot bump family had to make way and move over to the top right.
Got it.
Yeah.
So to clarify, because I know a lot of people are listening to this and not just watching it
Mhm.
on YouTube, to clarify, the moves didn't change family. Like the tuck seam didn't move to the body weight family. What Liz is saying is that they physically, when you visualize these movements, they physically moved on the flowchart to give you a better idea of these are the foundational steps of slow.
Mhm. Mhm.
First and foremost, learn the figure 8. And then first and foremost, here's the shimmy.
Yes.
All right, great.
I know. I love it. I love it. So when I want to encourage everybody to get a flow chart and take a look at it and just look at where the shimmy and the tuck seam families are, or shimmy and figure 8 families are, and look at all the variations underneath, and then you'll see the previous names like Turkish for the Turkish shimmy in parentheses, and then you'll start to see the acronyms, the previous acronyms and the new acronyms also. Yeah, so I also tried to do a little star underneath there and spell it all out just to be really clear.
So instead of, for instance, we have the rhythmic undulation in parentheses, Arabic, and then shimmy. And then next to that, with arms and turn, which we know as the run SWAT, right? But
Mm-hmm.
then underneath that, you have the old acronym so that it's consistent is
Mm-hmm.
the A SWAT. So I
Yeah.
absolutely love that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I love it too.
Let's take a quick moment. I just want to say hi for those of you that are joining us live on YouTube. We've got several of you out there, and everybody's commenting about getting the new flowchart. Of course, we'll share all of that information, and as we start traveling this year, we'll be bringing flowcharts to those different areas as well. So I just wanted to say hello to. I won't be able to get to everybody, but Iris and Katrine and Edie and Samantha, Christine, Lisi, Maria, Tina, Glenda, Joan, Najma, aka Diana. I see you out there. So it looks like we've got dancers from all over the world: Germany, England, Greece, the US, Italy. So I just wanted to take a moment and say hi to everyone out there. And of course, if you have questions, the benefit of joining us live is that you can ask them. So feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll try to get to any questions before we go. If not, we'll answer them in the show notes. Oh, and hello from Frankfurt, Eileen says.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so consistency across all of the platforms,
Mm-hmm.
including the parentheses and the acronyms. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the movement physically of where figure 8 and shimmy fell into the flowchart as Carolina said, to signify their significance.
Yes.
And the mother step, if you will, of where they are in our dance form. So what else, Liz, did you adjust on here, or did you update on here?
Well, if you'll take a look at, if you can take a look at, if you're driving or something, please just look later. But you'll notice the variations in figure 8 and body wave. We now have the arm undulations and the wrist rotation off to the right side of figure 8. So it's clear that you have the option of doing both depending on what arms, well, not both at the same time, but you have the options of doing either one depending on what the arms are doing. Yeah, exactly. And
yeah, and I noticed they weren't even mentioned on the last one. So we had to just kind of go, well, yeah, and there's also these variations. Well, are they, where do they fall on the chart? So I love that they're on here now.
Well, previously they were in the embellishments section at the bottom. So it didn't really specify what steps they went with. So,
got it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And on body wave, you have several arm positions with body wave, which may or may not require a wrist rotation, but generally we're always trying to do a wrist rotation with the body wave. But so you have options there. So I added the wrist rotation out to the side of all of the body wave family steps.
Nice.
There. So, and just on that same vein, if you look over in the turns family on the slow vocabulary, you'll see they're also out beside the propeller turn and corkscrew turn because, thank you, Deanna.
Vanna White.
So, you have options. So propeller turn and corkscrew turn, Carolina tells us that you have the option of doing no wrist rotations, or you have the option of doing 8 to 10, depending on which step you're doing. And I'm going to talk more about that in my workshops.
Yes. Ooh, I can't wait to talk about your workshops towards the end of the podcast. I'm like, there's a whole other topic.
I know.
Do you ever, I'd love for the audience to chime in, and even if you're listening later, chime in the comments. Do you ever do the slow turns without any wrist rotations? I would like to know. I do it sometimes in class just to trick up the students to make sure that they realize that you can do it without some. But
I do the same
performing, I just do them. Like, don't forget.
I do the same thing, and I wonder. I don't say anything, and I wonder if they notice. Do your students notice?
Yeah, they just were like, that feels weird. It's like, what? But it's not.
I know. So, okay, if we move on over to the pivot bump choo-choo family, you'll notice that choo-choo is broken out underneath the, so we have pivot bump, up, two, down, three, reach and sit, single bump, double bump, choo-choo, and choo-choo arc arm directly under that. So those are broken out as variations under the pivot bump choo-choo family. Yeah. So that's fun. And if we move on down to talk about the embellishments and specialties section, you'll notice that there's more there now. And some of these things, like the belly roll and the flutter, were up in complex steps previously. And so this was a long conversation that Carolina and I had to move these to embellishments and also add the word specialties to be more consistent. Just to let you know, these are specialty steps. And I mean, Carolina, do you want to talk more about these steps and why they're called embellishments or specialties?
Sure.
So let me just review what's there real quick. So what's there now is belly roll, level drop, and full level, head slide, flutter, and layback. All complex embellishments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so as I was talking to Liz this morning, and I've had the same conversation with Deanna, trying to organize my creation is, what am I trying to say? When I first started creating the videos, I made volume 1, and I thought, and I'm done. You know what I mean? I did this thing, and I'm done.
Little did you know, sorry.
People
That's
were
so
like,
funny.
but what about this? And but what about that? And I was like, oh, okay. And like a whole nother conversation about my literally PTSD from creating videos. Like back in the day, there were no iPhones, there were no fancy cameras. It was a lot of work. But so if you look at the flow chart, you're like, oh, Carolina's brain is totally organized and she did everything, like this. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. So first I made volume 1 based on what I was teaching at the time. And then, class continued and people asked for more things and variations were happening. So then we created, volume 2 was makeup and costume. Volume 3 was Zills, but volume 4 was called embellishments and variations, because at that time they were embellishments and variations on volume 1. So if you look at the dance from my lens, it's volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But a new person coming in is going to say, why is the belly roll like a fundamental step? Because if we're looking at the name of volume 1 is Dance Fundamentals, because at that time it was. Belly rolls are not fundamental. Belly rolls are really squirrely, difficult. Only some people can really master it situation. So for previously, we would have put belly rolls into the hierarchy, starting at the top, but ultimately it's like, for me, it was just natural. Like, yeah, belly rolls and flutters. You just do them. But most people don't just do them. It takes learning, it takes practice, and it takes like a really heavy head for visualization to get those two really bizarre steps in there. And then ultimately, it turned out that in performance, it did not make any sense for a group of dancers to do belly rolls together. It looks kind of weird. And because belly rolls are really individual to each person's body, I mean, the belly roll is consistent, but bodies are different. it doesn't make any sense to have a group of people doing belly rolls together or flutters together. It just doesn't work. So I ended up moving the belly roll and the flutter into solo performance, and that's sort of been my moniker for quite a long time, is very bizarre, weird, inspiring music with belly rolls and flutters. That was sort of like my career. If you want it, my elevator pitch, that's my elevator pitch. So we moved it into embellishments and specialties because it is an embellishment and it is a specialty. It's not something that you're just going to drop into a group presentation. And the level drop and the full level, the head slide and the layback, the head slide can definitely be done as a group, although it would have to be like a really isolated and perfect situation for the audience to be able to see this happening. Do you know what I mean? So because it's such a small movement, it sort of flows into solo specialty, belly rolls, flutters, head slides. But then the level drop, full level, and the layback are really dependent on your body's ability to do those steps. So they cannot just get tossed into a group improv performance because not everybody's body is flexible and strong in the same way. So you really have to make sure, talk to your people before you do that in a performance. Like, can we do laybacks today? Can you do floor work today? Because, one day you might be able to be good, not good at it, but able to do it. Another day your back is like, don't touch me, so, and you have to respect that, right? When your back says hands off, you are hands off. Yeah, so they are either something that doesn't like, what's the word that I'm looking for? Visually, aesthetically, um, the head slides, the belly rolls, and the flutters aesthetically don't make sense in a group presentation, and the levels and the laybacks are completely dependent on your body's ability to do it on that day. So it's something that has to be discussed. So yeah, they don't land just randomly in a presentation.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that we have this little section here too, because it's like, yeah, we have those. And those are the kind of things that we don't normally teach in a class, like in a, traditional class setting. I teach the head slide sometimes in level 1, just if people need a little something different, but yeah, definitely not having a level 1 week 4 flutter class or anything like that.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine everybody be like, I'm done.
I know. People walk into level 1 and they're just overwhelmed by everything. So I can't imagine pulling that out.
Well, and ultimately, like, I didn't realize that in the beginning. I was like, oh, you do belly rolls, you do flutters, you do head slides, you can do laybacks, and people were like, whoa, wait a minute. And I was like, what? They're like, how do you do it? And I'm like, you just do it. And ultimately, these steps have been fleshed out into like hour or 2 hour classes just on the belly roll, just on the flutter, However, I know I've told this story before, but it's relevant to right now. When I was studying Indian classical dance, my dance teacher said, go like this. So I went like this. And she's like, oh, good, you can do it. And I was like, so what do you do if a dancer can't do that? She's like, they just have to do it. They just, they just do it. They learn to do it. There was like I thought it was like perfect coming from a classical Indian dancer. Like, don't ask me that question. Just do it. Whereas like Americans are like, but why? I need to know the why and the how. And she's like, just do it. It's like, okay, good. I'm glad I know how to do it because. But then on the other hand, my turnout was something that she was like, because I have inwardly rotated hips. So for me, floor work was really easy because of the inward rotation of the hips, but I can't hold turnout. And she's like,
yeah, I feel that.
kind of like the ballet thing where, your body's not a ballet body and your teacher's like, this is not for you. And you're like, but I want to do it. It's the same thing happened with me. She was like, so, oh well. But I mean, it's a beautiful experience, but
Yeah.
ultimately, I don't have what it takes for Indian classical dance. That's not the point.
Right?
Just do the head slide.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
They just do it. They figure it out. They just do it.
So along with the embellishments and specialties section, speaking of floor work, I also noticed that we had floor work on the previous one down at the bottom, but of course this one we have the updated names as well.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
floor work didn't really change. It's still over there down at the bottom, and I like that it's like kind of down there with embellishments and specialties is on the left, floor work is on the right, it's like at the bottom of the page. It's kind of like after you've done all of these, then maybe try these.
Exactly.
And I love I know that floor work is in red because we've marked volume 8 in red, but I do
Mhm.
love the fact that this really difficult physical thing is like red, like watch out, like, just
Caution.
Caution! Achtung! I love it.
All right. So Liz, what else? I know there are some more updates on here. So
Yeah,
do you want to guide us
So
through? I know like 7 pages of notes. I'm
yeah,
like, what else do you want to talk about?
well, I won't go into everything. I'll save some stuff for the workshops, but I can tell you if you look at under complex steps, if you look at balancing step with turn, balancing step, you'll see that I do break out. There's 2 different arms. So it just says, there's a lot of information here. And so I had to be really succinct with what I put in here. So I put arms 1 and 2, but so you have 2 arm options here. And that was never really defined previously. So you can do the balancing step with 2 arms or with one, just the left arm up and the right arm at the hip.
Yeah,
So just
I
clarify like
see.
that. Yeah. And then
So-
also in that complex steps family, I broke out Medusa 1 as the core step, and then Medusa 2 as the variation. Medusa 2 is the Indian version.
Got it. Yeah, I like that. I'm looking at stuff, have a side by side of the previous version and the new version. That way, people that are just listening, I can kind of explain it a little bit for the ones that are people that are just listening. So I'm not trying to mansplain what Liz was saying, but because what I needed to do was look at this and say, oh, arm 1 and arm 2, I see that it wasn't on the previous flow chart. And what Liz is talking about is what a lot of people call the baby camel.
Mm-hmm.
Arm would be arm 2, right? So arm 1 and arm 1, I guess. Would that be arm 1 or arm 2?
One
arm?
Arm 1 is
both arms.
Okay.
What?
That's fine.
Liz, would you say?
No, it's like I would call what she said the slang terminology baby camel is the 1 arm version.
Okay, so you're saying arm 1 is the baby camel and arm 2 is the 2 arms. That makes sense.
Yeah.
1 arm versus 2 arms. So for those of you that are like, there's a new step, it's not a new step. It's just that people used to just call it a baby camel, but it's really just a variation it's an arm variation of the camel, which is what we call the balancing step with the new terminology.
Yeah.
So I love that it's on there because I often forgot about that arm variation, and now it's clear.
I know. So another little thing in that area is breaking out. Before I just said the strong arm had 2 variations, but really it's variation number 2 and variation number 3. So just got a little bit more specific. So they're numbered.
Got it.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and the slow diagonal fade, and then parentheses trio. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. And another thing that Deanna, you had some influence in is specifying, if we move on over to our swivel step section, so it's at the bottom left of the fast side of the flowchart. You'll notice that instead of just saying spins, we now say calibrated spins. And Deanna, you felt strongly about us specifying that they were calibrated. Now, why is that?
I don't know, but I can tell you why I like that term. And people have asked me before, especially if like English is a second language and the word calibrated doesn't really translate. So calibrated means like it's precise, right? So when we're doing calibrated spins, we are all at the same part on count 1. We're all on the same part on count 2, 3, 4. You know, we're there together. They're calibrated versus just like spinning, like something that we might do if we were just, you know, turning in a circle and a shimmy, and then every once in a while somebody did a spin. So calibrated spins, I feel, really is like these precise spins that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Very good.
Synchronized.
Synchronized. Yeah. Synchronized.
Back in the old days, we would say, let's synchronize our watches.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now it's automatic.
Before, you know, everyone was collected to the cloud, we had to literally make sure that our watches were timed together. So synchronized. That's when I think of the circle of the spin. I think the circle of the watch, you know, and the 12 o'clock.
Ooh,
Yeah.
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 Synchronized, calibrated. I learned that term as calibrated spins. So I guess it's, yeah. And then people just said spins, and then it got a little bit confusing. So
It's true. It's true. Yeah. Nice.
And I love that it's very clear that it's part of, you know, that it's part of the swivel step family or part of the Egyptian family if you're using, you're using that terminology. It was listed, of course, in the other one, but it was right under full turn. It just said spins. And so that can be, that could be a little bit confusing. And so now you can see that there's a full turn option, and then there are the calibrated spins option for that, which is different from partner spins, which is part of pivot bumps.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. Isn't it great when you can like see it like that, and you're like, all these things start like, oh yeah, clickety click.
Yep. Love it.
All right.
And I know there's of you out there have asked about an electronic version, but I just feel so strongly about having that tangible thing in my hand, you know. I'm so stuck on that. I think it's really valuable.
Yeah.
It can go with you, you know, whether you have your laptop or not, you know, type of thing. So
it'll be great.
Well, your flowchart was the inspiration behind the vocabulary page in our resources section on FCBDU, because originally what I really wanted was I wanted this to be on the like this the web page, and then when you hovered over it, like the bar like kind of popped up and you could click it and it would take you over to the thing. I'm not smart enough to figure out how to do that, and Kelly looked into a web designer to be able to do that, and they were like, it's too much basically on a screen. So to have this in a digital format is like really, it's kind of complex, you know, you're reading these things. It's not just like a picture that you're looking at that you can just pull up on your phone. So I do think that the actual physical version, which feels like really, like it's really quality, you know, I feel like there's just something to having this physical version. So.
Yeah, I chose this paper. It's got plastic in it, so it is waterproof and very durable. So I think it's that. Now I like to put mine in like a little plastic sleeve, if you can see what I'm holding in my hand here, just to protect it, and so I won't, you know. So if I spill something, you know, just in case, so my cat won't throw up on it or something.
Or bite it or something like that.
provide it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm just going to check in with the comments real fast. Joan must be one of your students.
Yeah,
Liz,
hey,
she said,
Joan.
regarding the wrist rotations and doing the propeller and corkscrew without them, she said, we notice. They notice. Lacey says, thank you for the specialties section. And Katrine says, which of the classical Indian dances was that?
Well, I wanted to study Kathak dance, but the teacher that I resonated with taught Bharatanatyam. So I didn't get very far, just so you know. I did study a little bit of Kathak, and then my dance form took over. And then I wanted to give myself, this gift of studying another dance form. So I went towards the teacher that was teaching Bharatanatyam, and then my dance form took over. Like it just wasn't possible for me to learn something while I was developing the dance. So a little bit of Kathak, a little bit of Bharatanatyam. That's the answer to the question.
And classical dance forms really, like, you kind of have to be like all into that. So yeah, really hard to.
And I have that temperament of being all in. Like if I'm going to study something, I'm making a definite commitment and I'm going to do it. And I realized both times that there was no way to make a commitment while I was developing this dance form. So it's influences, but I never got far enough to do it.
Yeah, I can totally understand that as being all in, because I see all these other things happening, and I'm like, how does everybody have time for this? I'm focused. I'm focused right here. And we'll tell you how to order. We'll tell you in a moment how you can order these, and of course, we'll have links and everything on our social channels, on our notes for our podcast, on our website, like all of that. So don't worry. All right. So was there anything else you wanted? I know that there are other things that have kind of shifted or moved around. I want to be clear as far as like, did we not have any movements that moved from one category to another? There were not, right?
It's really just the embellishments and specialties.
Yeah. So I just wanted to like ease everybody's mind, because I know,
yeah.
Remember, there's been different editions, and we did have a couple of changes in the last one. So make sure that you can go back and watch our other YouTube video that goes to the previous rendition, right? And this is the next edition. So in this edition, it was a lot more of like the organizational and being really clear in what's a variation versus what's an embellishment. And I just really, really love it. So thank you so much, Liz, for continuing. And of course, Carolina, for continuing to work on these flowcharts to make it even easier for us to look at. And as we continue to use them, like any tools, right, they just get better and better. So we went from, this, where I don't know if you can see, but what I'm pointing to, for those of you that are listening in, pointing to the very original flowchart where things kind of went off to the left and off to the right and down to the left and down to the right. And it was kind of more in like a spider web kind of situation, right? And so what Liz was talking about in the beginning was the way that we read from left to right and from top to bottom, and the way that the flowchart kind of flows along with that concept. So it's like easier for your brain to kind of grasp and understand. So
also, apologies if I'm reiterating something that you just said, but I had a different thing that I wanted to say, which is, so the bane of my existence, just so you know, never say this to me. Never, ever, ever. I don't care who you are or where you come from or where we are. Don't say, oh, something has changed, because I will blow my top, right? Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. So the fact that there are different versions of the flowchart is just us trying to make everything more streamlined and easier to see visually. But the fact that you move from one place to another, nothing has changed. We're just sort of making it, again, just to repeat myself, making it easier visually to understand the concept. Because what we're doing is we're taking a movement, like a movement form and putting it on paper, and it's tricky. It's tricky. So if you have the original flowchart, it's as valid as this flowchart.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to buy a new flowchart every time a new version comes out. You can, and Liz and I would appreciate it if you did, but you don't have to, because the information is the same. It's just the organization of it that is update. It's just updated, but nothing's changed. Don't ever say that to me.
Yeah. It's just improving the tools as you grow and as you learn and as people use them and provide feedback, and that's just part of it. It's like, I'm excited that things continue to improve and get updated. So thank you so much for all of the work that continues to go into this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Deanna.
Yeah,
I mean, for us to come here today and sort of try to give everyone a perspective of what our thought process was when we were making these insightful decisions on the flow chart, I think is super helpful. And to find out, what is Carolina's perspective, because that helps people understand the foundation. It helps people understand the structure of this dance form so much better.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. And so we also, like, along with the flow chart, right, that has just come out. So let's first, before we get into where people can kind of learn more and about the new series that's coming out with Liz, that's using this new updated flow chart, let's talk a little bit about how people can buy them. So I know that they're on dolladance.com. Is that correct, Liz?
Yes,
And
that's
they're
correct.
on FCBD.com. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Carolina? So you can go to either website and get your flowchart. And what's the price, Liz? Carolina?
They're 12 now. Yeah.
I've got them as 13 to cover shipping.
Right. And I've got them as 12, and then it's plus shipping.
Plus shipping, yeah.
People are generally buying more than one item from me, so that's why they're different.
Yeah. And a little bit more for international.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So go out and get one. I mean, if you're a collector, like, get one.
Yeah.
You know what? Also, I had bought several of them from you a while back, different edition, of course, and gave them out to students that had been with me for like a year. Or it's like as like holiday presents. I think these are really great gifts. So maybe you're a student and you know that your teacher doesn't have one, or maybe you want to have a few of them and then you meet somebody new and you're sharing and you're like, oh, you don't have one? Here you go. I mean, like, it's just like a sweet little inexpensive gift also that just is a really nice gesture. So buy more than one, right? Especially if you're doing shipping. Buy a bunch of them and take them to some events, and maybe people can then reimburse you, and then you've helped the community kind of spread this around. So definitely check in with these. And then I want to share this this next image, because I hope everybody can hear us when I share this image. But we have this new.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. We have this brand new event coming out. Yeah. So I'll come back over to us. I think I can actually add it. I'm learning all of this. You can tell I'm learning like all of this technology here. Let's see. Well,
I love it.
It makes it tiny. But so we have a new series coming out on FCBDU, and this is what's really cool. It's an 8-class series that Liz is teaching, and she will be live every month now until October. Once a month series. I love this.
Can you believe it?
I love it. It's called Mapping Your Success, Exploring the Updated Flowchart for a Deeper Vocabulary Understanding.
Yes.
It's fantastic. The first one is next Sunday. Yeah, at 10 o'clock. And that's on our website. It's in our newsletter that comes out tomorrow. Should be Facebook events, like all the things. And that one is on the figure 8, Taksim. and the
Mm-hmm.
variations. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Liz, can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind this series?
Well, it's to really take us into each section of the flow chart and explore what the name adjustments, the variations that we've talked about today, and unravel the thought process behind the updates and dive into the steps. Just do some a nice warm up to prepare us to do purposeful drills, reinforce the understanding of the each section of the flow chart, refine technique, and then put them in creative combinations that really bring this dance to life and get it into your muscle memory. So, yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. And these are included in your subscription or your membership to FCBDU. It's also available for purchase if you're not a member of FCBDU, but we would really love for your membership, because without members, we would not be here being able to do podcasts and creating more events for our community and being able to offer all of these classes, and keep everybody up to date on all of the great things regarding Fat Chance Belly Dance style. Excuse me. So we've covered most of the updates of the flowchart. You'll have to tune in. You can tune in to Liz's Mapping Your Success series to go through a few more of like the really specific ones that you can see in action. And then we talked about where to buy the flowcharts.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And we'll put all of that information in the flow notes. And then we talked about Liz's new series, Mapping Your Success, which I'm super, super excited about. Yeah, it's amazing. Is there anything else that either of you want to share before we kind of start wrapping it up? And of course, if you're in YouTube and you want to ask any questions, feel free to drop those in. But Liz, Carolina, anything else you want to talk about related to the flow chart or anything regarding things that are kind of coming up around that?
I am thrilled by this Mapping Your Success workshop. It looks terrific. And Liz is such a great teacher. You guys are so lucky. Yeah.
You're in for
Do
a
it.
treat. Yes.
Yeah.
You're in for a treat.
And
Well,
I guess
I'm really
I'm sorry, Deanna. Go ahead.
Go for it.
I guess I just want to highlight the fact that mapping for success is really about lifting all of us up together. So we're all valuable and increasing our knowledge together so we can we can see the beauty of speaking the same language, so we can dance together as a community, all equal, and flow and feel that magic that Carolina was talking about. And I always feel that when we're flowing together and we've kind of dove into some details and then putting it together in a creative combination and feeling how everything comes together when we press play and that song begins to play and we activate these steps and our knowledge and our mutual respect and admiration for each other in the dance community.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for all of your hard work and your dedication to putting this together and to continuing to identify ways that that your students, that the community, that we can all really learn and again continue to be on the same page and speak this same dance language so that we can dance together for another 20 years, Liz.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Yes, I know. I feel like just getting started, right?
Yes.
All right. And I want to take a moment to thank everybody that joined us live on YouTube. This will be, of course, up on Spotify probably tomorrow. So you can always go back and listen to it again, maybe highlight, take some notes, whatever it is that you want to do to remember some of these things. And I, again, want to give a shout out to our members. Thank you so much for your membership to FCBDU. Without you, we would not be here. Yes. And of course, a very, very special thank you to Carolina for joining us, because also without you, nobody would be here. So thank you, Carolina, so much for creating this amazing, magical experience that the world gets to share and unite in together. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina.
Thank you. Thank you too, and the entire community, because without the entire community, I wouldn't be here. If nobody was interested in the dance, we wouldn't be here 37 years later. So there you go. We're all connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, much love, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time in the next episode.
I'll see you next weekend.
I'll see you next. Yeah, Liz will see you next week. I'll see you next episode, which you won't want to miss, because we have a very special guest, which we will be sharing next week. And I was just talking about Daviani TV the other day, and I almost just said, "What? We'll see you on the next episode of." Do you all remember that? Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah.
We need to come up with an ending for FCBDU. But let's, since Daviani's here, right, and we're talking about like the last 20 years, and just maybe a little tip of the hat to Mega, let's just end in our old way, the way that God has been doing YouTube videos and all of these live streams and everything in the first place. All right.
Okay,
those
ready?
of you that have been around a little while, this will be a little reminiscent. So check back for the next episode of Daviani TV. Thanks for playing with me, guys. Love you. Bye.
Love y'all.